Hi everyone, it's time to talk about the best book that I read last month. And this one, oh you guys, this one has my heart. I'm gonna jump right in because you guys just need to all read this book. It is A Man Called Ove by Fredrick Backman. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. He's Swedish, so I really don't know. But oh, this book I had high expectations for, and it absolutely exceeded them. This book is originally a Swedish novel, but it was translated by Henning Koch. Thank you. I would be so sad if I never got to read this book. I just found out it's also a movie. I don't know if I want to watch it or not because it has very mixed reviews and it looks like it's pretty much the Hanks family doing their own thing. Like, I think it was produced by Tom Hanks' wife. He stars in it. Somebody else who has the last name Hanks, I don't know if it's his son or what, is also in it. And yeah, it's got some pretty mixed reviews, which normally doesn't dissuade me. I'm just nervous because I love this book so much. I feel protective of it and I don't want to watch a bad movie adaptation. And I also feel like Tom Hanks, I love him. He is not what I envision when I read this book. Like, I would never pick him to play this character. He's too lovable, like, from the get-go. Even if he was being grumpy, he would somehow come across as lovable. That's Tom Hanks. Anyways, if you've seen the movie adaptation, and I believe there's also a Swedish movie adaptation, which I would be far more likely to watch, and that one does have pretty good reviews. If you've seen either of them, let me know. And I think I am going to watch the Swedish version, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to watch the American version. So this is a roughly 300-page contemporary fiction novel about a man called Ove and how grumpy he is and why he is so grumpy. This book is a really great exercise in taking time to think of why people might be the way they are instead of just writing them off as bad people. There's value in seeing things from other people's perspective and kind of looking past what they're presenting to you and thinking about what might be behind that. Especially now, I think this book was really good timing for me to read. There's a lot of division in America right now and a lot of anger and frustration and many other not fun emotions going on. I just think it's a really good time to be reading books like this and trying to remember that we all are the sum of our experiences in life, and this book just does such a good job of demonstrating that. Not only was this book my favorite book last month, it's really, really up there in books that I've read overall. It made me cry several times, but I enjoyed every moment of it. It wasn't one that I was sad and didn't want to read and had to push through. It was just relatable, and I only cried because I cared about Ove. Like, I cared about this man after not too many pages. At first he's grumpy nonstop, and you don't see behind that at all, but he's funny. Like, he's a funny, grumpy person. And he does some things that sometimes you really want to do. Like, he goes all out with his road rage. And I'm not going to lie, I was fantasizing about doing some of the stuff that he does in this book. Like, he does not hold back when he's angry. It's hilarious. Then throughout the book, little by little, we get fed these little snippets of his past, starting from when he's a kid, and slowly it all just starts to make sense, and it's so well done. It is so well done. I don't know how Bachman is so good at this, but he is, and you fall in love with Ove. You really do, and all of the characters are really good. For the most part, the other characters in this book are people in Ove's neighborhood. He's got people that live across the street from him that you meet pretty early on in the book. They're fantastic. The woman who lives across the street from Ove is amazing, and I wish I could be more like her. She's absolutely epic, and she's one of the people that kind of cracks Ove's very hard exterior and gets to see his sweet little smushy inner self that's hiding beneath, and it's just so endearing. This story is so endearing. There's also a cat There's also a cat that is trying to be friends with Ove and he wants no part in it. It's really interesting seeing, once you see more of Ove's past, seeing how he progressively puts more and more walls up, because obviously that's relatable, okay? Like, not everybody's great at just facing their feelings all the time, and that's why it can be relatable when you see people acting a fool because they're upset. It's never fun to be around, but I feel like everybody's been there where they just kind of project what's going on in their life and things that they're trying to recover from, and they just shut down and they put walls up. Like, sometimes that's what you do. Is it good? No. Is it reality? Yes. And that's why Ove is relatable. I don't want to spoil anything, so all I can really say is Ove has been through a lot. He's been through a lot. And he's just a man who is he's very glued to structure. He needs structure. He wants to follow all the rules all the time. He's very much it's the principle of the thing guy. Which sometimes I'm like that, and I annoy myself because what's the point? But again, the man is relatable. That's how this book sucks you in. He's relatable in so many ways. So by the end of this book, you've seen all of these things that happened to Ove throughout his life, and it all makes perfect sense. And towards the end of the book, you're just like, I do not blame you, man. Like, you have been through the ringer. I don't know how I would have recovered from that. I would probably be the same way. And you understand everything. You understand why he is clinging to the rules. You understand, which I have people in my life that are very much the same. So he does remind me of people in my life, and it's very interesting for me. But you feel for him. You love him. You want him to be happy. You understand why he's doing things the way he's doing things. There's also another theme that's woven throughout the story that I don't want to give away. Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but there's another very important theme in here, and it's a heavy hitter, and you just have to read it to find out. But it's just, the book is layered but simple. It doesn't feel layered because it is just laid out so well, and it's all so approachable, but there are a lot of things being addressed in this book, and this man is a master. He is a master, and I am so looking forward to reading his other books because he has a lot of them, and Beartown is one of them. I can't remember what it's about, but I know that it was made into a Netflix adaptation, and it seems like he's just good at writing about real people. That's the impression I've gotten from reading the synopsis of his other books. I haven't read about all of them because he, fortunately for me, does have quite a few books out, and I will be trying to make my way through all of them, I think. Unless magically the other ones are just not as good, but I have a hard time believing that because some books you read and they're really, really good, but you still are unsure if the author's other books will be as good or if they were kind of relying on the theme of the book or a certain trope and that's the only reason the book felt good. No, I have no doubts that the rest of his books are going to be really, really good. As far as the timeline of this book goes and kind of the path that the synopsis takes, it's a month or two is probably the span of the present times, but there are a lot of flashbacks, which is of course how we find out about everything that's happened to Ove. But as far as what's happening in the present, it's not that large of a time span, and it kind of centers around him trying to protect his neighborhood from the people that are ignoring all the signs he puts up and all this stuff. He's also addressing things from the past with one of his neighbors, and that is another layer of his past and the present. It's super, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, basically it's about how unhappy he currently is, how he's at rock bottom, and how people around him are trying to get through to him and thaw his icy little heart. It's not an icy heart. See, I can't even say that. It's not an icy heart. And thaw his icy exterior, because it's all an act. He's a softie, which I don't think is giving anything away. It's literally about why the man's grumpy. Of course, he's going to have a good heart at his core. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be the story that it is. That's pretty much where the story goes. of course, I don't want to give away specifics, but if you just want a book that's gonna just melt your heart, this book is all about, you know, smushy, warm, fuzzy, feel good moments, and I can't recommend this anymore. I'm gonna read you the synopsis from the back and then send you off to buy this book and read it and report back. Fortunately, my good friend Gabby is reading it right now because, yeah, I haven't had anybody to talk to about this. Okay, so the back says, at first sight, Ove is almost certainly the grumpiest man you will ever meet. He thinks himself surrounded by idiots, joggers, neighbors who can't reverse a trailer properly, and shop assistants who talk in code. But isn't it rare these days to find such old-fashioned clarity of belief and deed, such unswerving conviction about what the world should be, and a lifelong dedication to making it just so? In the end, you will see, there is something about Ove that is quite irresistible. Yes, it's so true. Like, this is not a false promise. If you read this book and you're not in love with this man by the end, seek help. Like, I just want to adopt him as my grandpa. So that was the best book that I read last month, by far. Blew everything else out of the water. And I can't wait to read everything else. If you have read any of his books, please let me know. Please, please, please let me know. There's My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologies. There's Beartown. There are at least like 3 or 4 other that I've seen, and I'm going to go through them all. That's where I'm going to love you and leave you. I am reading a really good YA like fantasy heist book right now, and I want to get back into it. So with that, I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.